Today's episode takes us to East Dummerston, Vermont, where we visit with Jack Manix of Walker Farm. Jack is celebrating two major milestones this spring when I visited, the first being 50 years of marriage with his wife Karen. And the second milestone is this is also their 50th year farming. This interview gives us a tour of the farm and garden center, which include 25 varying greenhouse structures. Some of these are the earliest of designs, with simple hoops in plastic, and some of them are the highest of tech, featuring fully automated glass houses that operate based on the weather. We then take a ride in the truck to set eyes on the fields and visit the Christmas tree farm, where he then shares some of the wisdom that has kept their farm business in operation for their entire career.
This is Walker Farm in downtown Dummerston, Vermont. We do a wide variety of 140 varieties of heirloom tomatoes, probably 40 to 50 varieties of hot peppers, and that we sell as plants, where we make much more money than when we plant them in the field and sell the produce.
Yeah.
So I encourage other farmers to look to diversify from chard and parsley and think about selling plants along with their produce and making, the profitability margin much higher.
Yeah.
So this is our garden center season, and we do like 1/3 of our gross in May.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's crazy. And with the garden center season, the window goes up like mid-April. And it starts going up, and it goes up, and it gets to be like Mother's Day, and it's almost all the way up. And then it's in mid-May, and it's up, and Memorial Day, it's starting to come down again, and then like mid-June. It always stays open, because you need a little breeze in the summer. But and you sell some perennials, trees and shrubs, and odds and ends and things, and we sell some fall flowers. But there's a window there of about, a couple of months that you really need to move tons of greenhouse stuff out.
Yeah.
So. That's why it's all about sunny weekends. We had one May where there was was it 9 or 11? I think it was 11 possible weekend days and the holidays.
Yeah.
And it rained 9 of those.
Oh,
yeah, and we're still here.
Yeah,
so
right.
So we made it. The nice thing about gardeners is that the diehards, they don't care.
They want flowers, rain or shine.
They're coming. It's very important to them, and also vegetable people too, So we have two sort of facets. We have sort of the flowers, horticultural stuff, and my wife does like one of everything in the world, more than one of everything. So we have let's walk this way.
Yeah.
So we have different departments, which is nice, so we can spread people out a lot. So this sort of alley here is for certified organic vegetable plants.
Okay.
And we start bringing. And so we have like everything from artichokes to, eventually we'll have like 100 varieties of heirloom tomatoes, and the crazy stuff. And maybe like 40 varieties of hot peppers, and including the exceptionally hot peppers like Carolina Reaper and, the Ghost and Chocolate Ghost and Peach Ghost and all kinds of different ones like that, And then this is the perennial area. And so we get weekly deliveries of second-year perennials here, which is nice, except for, and not many garden centers do this. My friend Andrew at Clearbrook Farm, I think he still does it because he learned from us. And it's a real, because he worked with us for a long time.
Okay.
He's like, we call it Walker Farm West. And so we do these perennials in 6-packs from seed. Mm-hmm. And so this is a great way for gardeners to get going, inexpensively. But the only thing they need to have what most gardeners don't have, and that's patience. You need a little extra time. So, but the people that need to fill in a large area, this is a good investment for them to buy like 6 for like $6.29 instead of like $9.99 each.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing. And then this is all, perennial section here, and so we have a lot of the die-hard perennial people there, and then we have our little pottery barn that used to be our sugar house. And
wow.
Yeah. So this, the goal was not to be the biggest. It was to take care of our customers, and they they wanted pottery, so we got pottery. We teamed up with some great nationally known horticulturists who happened to be living in the area years ago. Joe Eck and Wayne Winterode from Northfield Garden Associates, and Tasha Tudor, the authoress and illustrator for kids. She's like famous, or she passed away, but and we grew. She had us grow things, and they had us grow things, and Jamaica Kincaid, who was the garden editor of the New York Times, of the New Yorker, had us grow things for them. And then the leftover things we would start selling to our regular customers. And so it was like a symbiotic relationship where we all advanced horticulturally. Like Wayne and Joe would bring stuff back from France and Italy and Germany, and it'd all be like in metric, and trying to figure out the germination times and the days till sale. It was difficult, but it was fun.
Yeah.
And so we got all these unique varieties, and that sort of. And the same thing happened really with vegetables. We hooked up with these great caterers, and they wanted, oddball,
Unique stuff.
Yeah, heirlooms especially. And then I got carried away with the heirlooms. Like everybody at the farm was like, cut back on the heirlooms. I'm like, okay, I cut one out. But they're just so unique, So I think we had 140.
Wow.
But I think I'm down like to 139. So that's good.
Cut way back.
Yeah, cut way back. They can't say I didn't try. So yeah, we have this young woman who's works with us. She's worked with us for years. She's an artist, and you can see what she does. I mean, it's just amazing. And so you try to assess the talents of the people that work for us.
So she makes all these pots.
No, she doesn't make them. She sets them up. She sets them colorful, rainbow style.
Yeah, that's pretty in here.
And we have this other young woman that worked for us years ago. We don't have it up yet, but she designs our theme sort of painting that it's a huge thing that we put in this greenhouse, which I'll show you. And she's got maybe if we see her, she can show you the prototype. Oh, and then so this other area over here is trees and shrubs. And so I bought this iron fence on eBay. Came out of Chicago, and then we bought that English telephone booth over there. I think I got that in White River at a second-hand type place. And then we started planting a bunch of different specimens that we brought back, those taller things in there to sort of help advertise the other things that we sell. And so we have that sort of like a little enclosed area. And then this is what we call, because when we set this display greenhouse up, it reminded us it reminded me especially, because I used to live after my mother moved away from the farm in Connecticut and used to go to New York a lot on the train, go down to the village. And this is, it reminded me of Grand Central Station.
Oh.
So we have sort of this train sort of theme with, with the station sort of thing in it. And I need to go plug in my railroad crossing sign. Daisy, our propagator, sort of handles this. And another thing that we learned, we want to make it a destination and an experience, and not just lay stuff out,
Right, which is why you've got these
which is
decorative elements to it.
Yeah, so it's like, Home Depot and those places will just throw it out there on the rack, and you take what you want. And the thing is, and I brought this old stove down from a cabin that my parents had, so it was kind of cool. But you want to make it something that people will sort of remember, and you want to mix it up a little bit. This has sort of been with us for a long time. Not this particular one, but we like to have Elvis in the building, and he sort of greets us with it. Yeah. So, and this, I mean, these when we were first getting going, we teamed up with these horticulturists. They said, "You must come out to Oregon with us and visit the nurseries." And we said, "Yeah, we don't know nothing about no nurseries," So they were saying, well, you got to see the Chamaecyparis, and we say, Chama what?
Yeah.
And and now, Chamaecyparis nucatensis glaucopendula rolls off our tongues, because we went to all these different nurseries and learned so much, and they taught us so much. Like this is a Chamaecyparis green arrow, which is fastigiate.
That's what
type. Yeah. That's just, and it just sort of, makes a statement. In the garden,
Decorative greenery, yeah.
And that's a tall picea. And then one of my favorites is that one behind the phone booth. It's called Picea orientalis skylands, and that has the golden edges on it. It gets more golden. And this tree here, and a lot of these are grafted, is a Tsuga canadensis, which is a hemlock. Which is native.
Yeah.
And we were able to get those before the sort of ban on them because of the hemlock woolly adelphid. It's an invasive species, that started coming around. So you can't import hemlocks anymore into Vermont, which is kind of a bummer because
they could bring bugs
well
with them.
here. Yes.
Yeah.
But it does so well here. It's like native.
Yeah,
and,
it is.
So you have to buy them from native nurseries, but the native nurseries don't really do a lot of grafting and things that make them interesting. Some of them do. So, but they're always kind of cool. And so we don't have that going right now, but we had an old truck I turned into a fountain. and that just sort of sprays down there. But let's go down and check out the scene in the back. So we have different departments like water plants, and I got these metal coconut palms. And Lindsay, she manages our organic production in the back. So she's handling the herbs now. All our vegetables and herb plants are certified organic, and she runs a smaller crew than we need. We need a larger crew. She runs a small crew out back until we get our additional help coming in, like the college kids and the high school kids that should start coming in mid-May or so when they get out of college. These are things that a little more difficult. The tropicals that we buy in and sell. And this is a place called Landcraft, which is unbelievable. It's like a conservatory almost, that rare plants down on Long Island. And so bring them up here, they're checking them in. So we have 25 greenhouse structures. Does that sound crazy? I think
no.
It is a little bit.
That's a lot. No, Chris was telling me how it's really a greenhouse museum out here.
I have just about a greenhouse from every possible greenhouse company. This is one of our horticultural houses, that ready to roll for May. And this is one of our organic houses that Lindsay has mostly herbs in, that will stock up. And this is tomato house.
May 4th, and they're already 6 feet tall.
I used to have this old timer that I used to always try to get at least a pink tomato for his wife on Mother's Day. And we used to plant them a little earlier than we do now. Now, we'll probably get some ripe tomatoes by about the 22nd or so, and start picking them. And then we switch our farm stand, our garden center sort of becomes a farm stand more first week of June, when we start selling a lot of food. I go down to market and get, grapes and bananas and stuff like that.
Are all your houses named or numbered? Or
well, after 12, you got to name them.
Okay.
Because nobody wants a 13. These are Ed type houses, Ed Persons.
Yep.
And this house here is called from Polytex. It's in Minnesota. That they make it, and you can see from the peak, we've never ever had to shuffle that one. And what's nice is it has a ridge vent, so it can let the heat out, in the summer. And the greenhouses actually use a lot more energy in the summer, keeping cool with the fans like this, than they do with the heat. It's just a heater really running, and maybe some lower powered HAS. But with this in the summer, these sides are like air mattresses. They drop and the top drops, and you get this natural convection that keeps them cool. And you can go in that greenhouse when it's like 90, and it's cooler in there than it is outside because you got air movement coming through. You know?
Passively.
Yeah, and with tomatoes, of course, you don't want to get them over 90 degrees or they drop blossoms, so that's good. Here's another flower house.
Nice. Do customers come back here, or is this
No,
all just get starts and brought
No, we don't
up
let them
there?
back here.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's all display out there, and
Yeah.
that's why we have a great team that scrambles to keep things going. This one, well, of course, that was Fenway. Fenway Park in Seinfeld was named because Seinfeld closed down. The seasons closed down when we built it. And this is Wade, was named after one of our dogs, and also Wade Boggs, who used to play for the Red Sox.
Okay.
Yeah, so Wade Dogs we used to call him. But and this. Mostly peppers and hot peppers and stuff. We keep this a little warmer than some of the other houses. Then there's a couple of our lower profile organic houses.
Yeah.
And then another duplicate of the Polytex. We plant the tomatoes. We have what we call the perpetual tomato machine, and we plant in stages so that we have plants, from end of May sort of until Thanksgiving. And so these will be in different stages that they'll start coming along because they do tend to peter out a little bit after a bit.
Yeah.
And then we're able to clean that house out and start putting winter greens in, later. But a lot of these houses will have 3 crops. Like this house will be bedding plants, which is of course the most profitable. You can fit like 750 1020 flats in a 14 by 100 and 1500 in a 28 by 100, and if you do the math, the plants are selling. I think we're getting like $5 a 6-pack now times 8, $40 a flat times 750 flats is like $30,000, and it's a lot of spinach.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but then after this, we might put ginger in here, or we'll put BHNs, a determinate tomato, or another crop. And then we'll in the fall and winter we'll run greens here until like January, February.
Okay.
So we get 3 crops moving through these houses, and that makes them a little more profitable. But the major one, the one I'm most concerned about, of course, is this one.
Right now.
Yeah. So, and this is another flower house here.
Yeah.
And this is our main organic propagation house.
Okay.
And we use an organic soil mix in this house from McEnroe Organics. And after we're through with bedding plant production too, and even now, I mean, we're producing our farm starts in here.
Right.
We have our sort of last planting of greenhouse tomatoes. So we do after we do like 5 plantings of greenhouse tomatoes, then we have like 3 houses of tunnel San Diego style basket weave type tomatoes that are the term BHN 589s, and then after those we'll start at the end of May, and we'll transplant June 20th or beginning of July. We'll transplant fall greenhouse tomatoes. So, and we'll have a couple houses of those and cherries that'll carry us through October, Thanksgiving, sometimes a little into December if the weather's right. So, and we also do a lot of greenhouse rotations of cukes too. So, and then let's just walk. We can just walk through here, and I got sweet corn here, almost ready to go in. Transplant. We transplant all our sweet corn.
All of it?
Yeah, we did 10 acres, and we transplant sweet corn because we have to use untreated seed, certified. And if the weather's not right, the seed can rot or can get a seed corn maggot or something. But we will we'll have like 100% stand when we transplant it, and we can actually predict what we're going to harvest from that.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. Also, we're big on using biologics. We have like 4 people that are really trained well in scouting and biological pest control. Yeah. So we use habitat plant, which is the salicum, and that attracts the good bugs that fight the bad bugs. Yep. Then we use trap plants, which are the marigolds. So the bugs are attracted, especially in the organic houses, because there's not a lot of flowering. they're attracted to the yellow. And so each week we get the good guys, predators and parasites, and then we'll spread them through the greenhouse and dump them on these trap plants, and they'll eliminate the bad guys. And then we have banker plants, and I'll show you that later in number 1, where it's like our own little insectary. So we can buy the good guys in, and then we breed them to distribute among the other greenhouses. It saves us a lot of money.
Wow.
And really, it's really...
So it's really effective.
Yeah, each year we learn more. It's, this year has been the best so far because we found an answer to one of our biggest problems, which is an aphid called the foxglove aphid. You have to know the type of aphid you have in order to get the correct control. And so we found, thanks to Carol and also Cheryl at UVM Extension, that we could raise fava beans as a host for pea aphids, which don't affect really the rest of the crops. And then we're able to get Aphidius urvi, which go after the foxglove aphid, which our other Aphidius colmanii did not go after because they were too fast and too big. And so it worked really well on controlling the foxglove for the first time in a long time. We haven't had to spray at all, I don't think. So knowing the problem and knowing the solution is the key, and also following through on it. This was used to be our display house years ago, but now it's another tomato house, and so this is sort of the second last stage of the greenhouse tomatoes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll have out back we have 5 tunnels. 2 of those are the Rolling Thunders, the movable tunnels, and we'll put mostly high looms. High looms from Johnny's. They're a combination heirloom and hybrid. They're bred to taste and look like the old-fashioned heirlooms, but they're more consistent on having a nice shape, and yield, and doing well in a greenhouse. So, and this is Pegasus, which is they remind us of Pegasus because it's winged, sort of. And this is an organic house. What will actually needs to be vented just a little bit. We can leave that door open, and I'll vent one side of it a little bit here. So we'll grow some. We got some cut flowers, some early vegetables. This is ginger here that we'll be putting in the house. Our onion crop is. That's half of our onion crop. The rest of it's outside. We ideally would be transplanting that now because the weather's been so wet.
Right.
I'm holding off on the profanity there. It's been so wet we haven't been able to get into the fields, and so we're a little behind on strawberry, onion planting, but hopefully this next week we'll catch up. And interspersed, we have some greenhouse cukes we'll plant in between here. Later on, this will become all tunnel tomatoes and maybe a few cherry tomatoes and stuff for midsummer and later. We don't grow many tomatoes outside anymore because the weather is just too unpredictable.
Yeah.
And too many issues, but still a few cherry tomatoes and our first planting of sort of regular heirloom tomatoes go outside. But, so this is one of our, it's just a little field. We have like 3 or 4 acres out here where we plant a lot of like greens and handy stuff. We have a couple of fields. I have a 16-acre field down on the Connecticut River that's like the best soil in the world. As the old timer that sold it to me said, half the fertilizer, twice the yield. It's like plowing butter. And then we have another field that's a little stonier that we lease 4 acres up the road, and then we have like 8 acres out back here and another 3-acre field.
What's your total acreage?
Well,
roughly?
the total acreage, I don't really know. The total acreage, if it includes our Christmas tree farm, we have 25 acres of organic Christmas trees on a 138-acre farm.
Okay.
So cropland all total is about 35 to 40 acres.
Okay. Yeah. How do you want to slice it?
Yeah. I mean, because we have 40 acres of woods here, and and that's a garden too, really. We're under forest management.
Yeah.
And fighting invasives and everything else. This was kind of cool. We had excavators. We used to have cows, and we had a few dairy cows, and we raised heifers, and they used to come. This used to be slanted down. I had them carve this out so we could fit in another greenhouse. Yeah. And you can see this is another sort of rotation of the flowers. You know, these will be coming later on, like in May, the warmer stuff, you know, or second rotations. Because what's nice about our location is we're able to attract people from a lot of different zones. Like we get people, because of the unique stuff we have people coming up from Connecticut and even New Jersey, you know, which are like in zone 6, 5, and definitely 5 and 6, you know. And then Brattleboro might be like a good zone 5, but then you need to have the later stuff for people that live in Marlboro and, you know, Westminster or Halifax or someplace where it's a definite zone 4 or Wilmington, you know. And so we need to have stuff for them later because they're not ready to go. You know, they're probably still shoveling snow.
Yeah, they're just melting out.
So, which is nice. So we're able to, you know, attract, you know, and then keep rotating stuff. Had some work done this year because I wanted to combat the invasives that are, you know, just everywhere. So this used to be all like that, you know, when I had cows, it's all grass, and then you stop using it for a few years, and poof, it just grows like crazy. And the flower greenhouses too are also, you know, we rotate crops through those. A lot like this house that was all the pretty annuals. That'll have like fall chrysanthemums and asters in it afterwards, you know. So one of the things that's kind of cool that might be interesting for other growers, because we don't have a real good POS system for, you know, scanning things, because we grow so many different things. We use different colored trays and pots for price points. Like these yellows are more expensive. The plants in them are more expensive. So when they come to the cash register and they're adding things up, they can see this right away. You don't have to scan anything.
So are all the yellows the same price point, or they know it's a certain like range of price?
All the yellows the same price point.
Okay.
Yep. Make it easier. And then we have on pots, we have like green, blue, white, and black pots, 4.5-inch pots that are all different price points. Also, you know, so we're able to. So things that are hard, take longer to grow, or they're harder to mark up. You know, harder to propagate it. So then we mark those up. Yeah. So this is just the other end of the tomato house. But what makes these things work well, because we have to plant like in around March 18th or so. So we have this underground little hot water system. Here, and it's a very simple system because
underground heating.
You can get the air warm, but you can't get the ground warm without hot water. So just run a black plastic on about 8 to 10 inches under these beds for a few days before we start planting to get the temperature up at least above 50, hopefully towards 60.
Yeah.
And then that makes them take off well. And then you can see we've got bumblebees for pollination. You know, we buy those in from a biological supplier. Of course, honeybees don't like tomatoes. You know, honeybees, they like nectar, and bumblebees, they like pollen. They make bee bread. So, and they have these little sacs on their legs that'll fill up with the pollen. So they do a great job. Early in the season, before we have enough blossoms to afford the bees, we use this. It's a little, I've had this thing for years. It's a little hand pollinator. It's like an electric toothbrush. See if the battery's still got a charge in here. But we'll go around put this under a blossom cluster, and ideally pollinate between 11 and 1.
Yeah.
And when the pollen is nice and dry, and you can see it flying if it's really dry. So it's kind of
between
cool.
11 and 1 in the day,
morning, late morning, early afternoon. Yep.
How long does it take to do that?
Oh, you walk through here in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Yeah,
it's a quick.
Fast. Yeah, but the bees do a better job.
Right. Is that something you have
and
to
do? And
do?
they work cheaper. Every day.
Every day.
Yeah, every day. And so we'll do that when the first clusters come out, and then the start of the second clusters. When they have 2 solid blossom clusters, then we start getting the bees in, and it's because you got to have something for the bees to eat. You know, you just can't.
Right.
You know, when they ship the bees, they'll ship a little extra bag of pollen with them.
Yeah.
That you put by their hive.
Kind of get them started.
Yeah. That'll get them going. Yeah. So this is our main propagation house. We keep this one and that one going all winter. These are our stock plants. They're things that are you can't find easily in the trade, and they're not patent protected.
Yeah.
But there'll be like a lot of fuchsias and things that are rare, coleus and salvias and things that plant enthusiasts are excited about, but they're really hard to find. So we have certain things here that you just can't find in the to buy wholesale. And somehow growing in the winter with a plastic structure, somehow it pays off. I'm not sure how, but somehow it pays off. But this is a really nice house. I think this is our best company, Nexus. They have we have a 2-inch styrofoam metal baseboard around that goes 2 feet in the ground, and then we have the cement floor, which of course holds some solar heat.
Yep.
And then we have computer-driven environmental system that this is energy curtain. It's not just not just for cold. This is for keeping things cool also. Mm-hmm. So now we have the roof turned off today. Otherwise, the roof would be venting. And these roofs are nice because they don't open like some roofs, so they just open like this, and you don't get that much. They open like this, atrium style. So they really let the heat out in the summer. Again, you don't need the fans. This side comes down over here on the left. They call this, and in our display house, they call that a guillotine side. It goes up and down. You just want to keep your head out of the way. So that really, again, has a nice convection where the air will flow up through here. And then this is what Daisy, this is her side. She can keep her side. My side is getting smaller now because we've got the greenhouses full of a lot of the seeded stuff, although I keep going a little bit more. And it's a heated bench. These are hot water.
Oh, yeah.
This is hot water. Put your hand on that and you can feel, that heat. It's just a hot water tank with a circulator. And this is how you get things to root and how you get seeds to take off a little faster. And we have these soil machines are probably our biggest labor-saving devices.
How many of these do you have?
I have 4.
Yeah. Same type of model?
Yeah, Jake Guest, Pooh Sprague, and I were on a tour one time that Vern took us on to Canada. And we were in a vegetable, seeing cukes grow in the greenhouse and stuff. And this grower said, "Hey, would you like to see the soil machine?" Of course, he said it with a heavy French accent. Yeah. But the soil machine that my sister has. And he said, "Yeah, sure." And so previously, soil machines, you had to buy like 3 pieces. So you had to buy like a bale buster, an elevator, and a pot filler. And it went from like here to halfway down the greenhouse. And it cost you like $30,000 in 1980 money, And so, and then it wasn't painted, it wasn't fancy like this, but she had one and said, "Yeah, my husband is a welder, and he made this for me." And I said, "If he ever makes another one or he wants to sell another one, let me know, call me." Yeah. So, and Jake was interested in one also, and Pooh. And so I got this call, "Bonjour," and I could barely understand it, but I had to call Jake too, and Jake had a worker that was fluent in French, and so we negotiated for the first 2 commercial machines that he made he had this metal domed building that was more or less his welding shop and airport hangar because he flew a plane. Yeah. And we bought the first 2. I think they're like $5,000 each. It was an unbelievable deal. And then he sold the distribution rights to Ball Horticultural, which is this huge seed plant business. And the next time I went up there, he had started to build a factory. And then we bought I think that was the second one I bought. And then the third time I went up there, he had like 8 guys working for him. Yeah, and he had all different conveyor belt models and things, and they just really taken off because he does a great job. So, we were mixing up like by hand in these things, and we had shoulders and arms like Popeye. but you know, it saves so much time.
Yeah, option 1 versus option 2 here.
Yeah. This is my water system here.
Yeah.
And this is
Taken away.
This is the reason that they keep me alive, because nobody else can figure this out. So we have like 3 wells and irrigation pond that fills a 5,000 gallon tank.
Okay.
So and a bunch of pumps that pump from that tank, so we can water all the greenhouses and not have to wait for somebody to finish one before you move on to the next one. And this is sort of our main potting shed where. So we have to keep the machines separate. So we have 2 for these 2 are for flowers, and then I have 2 for certified organic. Because you have to have their own soil.
Yeah, separate.
Yeah. So this is this one for this house, and then this is where the potting for the flowers happens. As you saw, the potting for the organic material happens in the other. Mm-hmm. And we use it. Most of my greenhouses now have these efficiency 93s. From Modine. They're 93% efficient, and that's really saved a lot of money for us.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that how new did that come out?
I think they're probably about 8 to 10 years old now.
Uh-huh.
They're a little bit expensive. I negotiated a deal because I have a bunch of greenhouses, and I told them I want to get them for all the greenhouses.
Yeah.
But I can only afford 1 or 2 a year.
Right.
But I want a good price. I don't want to pay top dollar each time I buy one.
Yeah.
So my salesman.
I'm going to buy a dozen.
Yeah.
But it's going to take me.
I'm going to buy 20.
Yeah.
But they tell them you're going to buy 50. They said, wait a minute, you only have 25 greenhouses.
Yeah.
But tell them what you want to do and negotiate. And there's room for negotiation on just about everything we buy. Soil, pots, not labor. we pay actually top dollar for labor because I've always felt it's good to pay a good person more than pay 2 workers who aren't as good, and you just get a lot more done.
How big is your crew throughout the year?
Well, at the height of the season, we have about 40.
Wow.
A lot of high school, college kids. This time of year, we have probably about 20. But this is the first year I'm getting 2 H2A workers. I haven't ever had to do that before. Last year was a real challenge with the workforce.
Yeah.
It is everywhere, as you know. Everybody's got the now hiring signs out.
Yeah.
And so I have 2 actually coming in about 10 days. Because I had this other young guy that has a farm over in New Hampshire, and I grow tomatoes for him, and he had heard that maybe I was thinking about it, and he had the place, because I have on the Christmas tree farm, I have a couple of houses, but there's an old timer that lives in one, and that eventually would probably be converted to worker housing, but it isn't quite yet. Not that I'm in any hurry. I hope he lives to be 110. Because the remodel of that house is going to cost a fortune anyway. But anyway, so the opportunity was there, so I thought I'd give it a shot. It's appealing because a lot of our high school, college kids go back August 15th, 20th.
Yeah, right.
And we're still going until, Christmas Eve with the Christmas tree farm.
Oh,
and our winter and deep winter CSAs and things. So, it's good to have the help for harvest and until like mid-October or so, and then our regular crew can sort of take it over from there. But yeah, this was the first gutter connect that we put up, and I was always like, a gutter connect in Vermont, I don't know, but you just well, we did get that snow this year, but when we're forecast to get over 1 foot of snow, I turn on the heat on these things to like 75 degrees and try to start about 4 or 5 hours before the storm, so that everything's warm, so when it hits, it melts. And it's a lot cheaper to do that than to rebuild a greenhouse.
Yeah.
So
I imagine it's quite expensive to build one of these.
Yeah. But what's cool, this is actually has an energy curtain also. And I got fooled by the computers in the energy curtain when I got my first one. I came in the evening one time in a snowstorm in my #1 greenhouse, and I found that the energy curtain wasn't shut. It was open like a quarter to a third of the way. And I was like, what the heck, it's cold. And what happened was the weather station said that there was precipitation, and it told that the controls that it was 32 or below. So it opened it up a quarter to let some heat up to melt the snow on the roof. So
it actually didn't know what it was
Yeah,
doing.
the technology was smarter than I was, so that worked well.
Go figure.
Yeah. But Daisy, this is all her stuff. She does this whole greenhouse. Well, she has a helper, but helps a little bit. But she does mostly everything here, and just does a fantastic job. But you see all this stuff, and you go, "Oh my God!" But we sell all this stuff. It's
so
amazing.
many plants.
Yeah. I have a bunch of tractors with the various implements, and fortunate enough, I have 2 guys out there working today that can run tractors. One came to us, and he's just working like 3 days a week. And he came up, he worked on some big organic farms out in California. He started his own little place, but he needs a little help before he gets going. You know? And then a worker that worked for us for 3 or 4 years, a couple of years ago, he said he'd like to come in and do a day's work when he has a day off. And so when I hired him, he called on the phone. They said, there's a guy like to apply for a job. And I answered the phone, and I said, I think I'm all set, but do you drive a tractor? And he said, I've driven everything from a lawnmower to an 8-wheel tractor. My family has a 3,000-acre farm in Iowa. I said, you're hired.
I can learn something from you.
Yeah. So on the main farm back here, we have about 8 acres, I guess, or so of. It's a little bit sandy, but it's good for a lot of crops. It's not like our river bottom soil, but we've learned what we need to plant there and what doesn't do well. This is our strawberry crop, and we do everything retail. And so I got these guys spreading compost. We're lucky we have a good dairy farm that supplies us with compost from their methane digester. So I have them. We spread pretty heavy, as you can see, to build organic matter.
Yeah.
But having 2 guys, I have 2 spreaders. I bought an extra spreader last year, and to have one guy loading and one guy spreading, constantly, really knocks it out. These are the movable tunnels, and we're gonna be tarping their empty spaces, to knock down the weeds. So we have some early carrots, greenhouse carrots in there that will hopefully be ready by mid-June or so. And then we, once they're ready, we'll move that greenhouse up to this spot, and we'll plant probably a second round of heirloom tomatoes in a greenhouse. And then we'll move it back and cover like spinach or greens for the winter. And the same thing with this, which is nice. We don't have anything planted in here now, but we're going to put some early. I have a bunch of the high looms that'll go in there, and then we'll move it back over here to plant some BHNs or something, and then move it back and forth to do cold and hot.
Do you like the movable tunnels?
I do like those movable tunnels. They're pretty easy to move, and we have a video on YouTube. If you search for movable tunnels, it just shows us Walker Farm moving them. My son put a cool soundtrack on.
Nice.
And this is just another round of greens before we put in the San Diego style or basket weave type BHN determinate tomatoes, because as you can see, a lot of tomatoes.
Yeah.
And then what do we have in the back there? We have onions in that next one back there. You want to go see those, or?
Sure.
Yeah. Can we get down through there? So we try to use a lot of cover crops, mostly buckwheat and rye and oats on stuff we need to die off quick. But these onions will get us started in mid-June or so.
Oh yeah.
And these we just seed down in January. And never had really good luck. A lot of people have better luck overwintering them, but I find it's just too many issues with weeds and bugs and stuff. So having these houses freeze out and then planting them, rotating them around and planting them has worked well for us. That and then the back one, we prepped that, and I was going to plant today, but it's going to be 37 tonight, so I'm going to wait one more night. And we'll put our last round of those tall, high loom type tomatoes in there and string them up. and prune them. And this over here, the other side here, is called Berry World. We store actually our compost is over there, but we have blueberry. We have like 250 blueberry plants and a bunch of fall raspberries. And these are kiwis, which desperately need pruning. You know the hardy kiwi?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I got to go alongside them with a chainsaw and
yeah,
knock them down, because they're going to collapse. Have this super strong trellis they're on, but I think it might collapse them.
Yeah, they're a little thick.
Out back we have a nice irrigation pond, which is crucial, really more crucial for our horticultural operation than the field crops even, because when we have all these greenhouses going and it's 90 degrees and then all that plant material out of there that sometimes needs to be watered twice a day, we can go through quite a bit of water. It's not surface water. There's all these new rules with the surface water, and
yeah, right. Depends how you're irrigating them.
Yeah.
How'd you get started farming?
Well, after college, I always used to come up and visit my grandfather. This farm's been in our family since 1770.
Wow.
And I used to come up and visit my grandfather. My wife and I came up. We were going to go out. I was supposed to be a lawyer. But I put the kibosh to that fairly early. And my mom worked for a law firm, and they paid my tuition, and I was supposed to go that route. But I decided that I wanted to try to be a fisherman out in the Cape. And Karen, my wife, was going to do crafts. But we came up here, stayed with my grandfather, and my parents have a camp that my grandfather gave him about 5 miles away. And every day we started coming down, helping out my grandfather. He had a few things going on, and said, "Hey, this is a lot of fun." And so we started really small. And I don't know what happened. I'm not sure how all these greenhouses got here. But this was our original little farm stand right here by the road, And then so we converted it was a garage. We converted to a farm stand, and I put some add-ons on and things. And on weekends we have a traffic cop, because there'll be like 70, 80 cars here, and there'll be no place to park, and we don't want people getting hurt. So the garden scene is crazy. Gardeners all have to have their special stuff,
Yeah.
We do a lot of Lysianthus. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's a cut flower.
Yeah.
And it's like the best cut flower. It lasts the longest in the vase. Call it the desert rose, because it's got a rose-like blossoms. And it was a native to like Texas, Arizona, like hot days and cool nights. And then we sent it over to Japan, and they developed all these different colors and varieties of it and sell it back to us as plugs and seeds. But we sell a ton of that. And then the vegetable people, they all have to have their sun gold cherry tomatoes, or their brandy wines. This used to be a dairy farmer. He didn't have this building here. Dairy farmer Albert Moore is a great little fire plug type of guy. He owned a farm down in Massachusetts that was taken by eminent domain by the University of Massachusetts. It's now their football field.
Oh, geez.
In Amherst, and so he moved up here, and when he passed away, we used to call this Dummerston International. There was a landing strip here.
Oh.
And the guys had planes, and that was the hangar for them, sort of there.
Yeah.
But then they sold it to a dairy farmer, and he actually stopped farming, now leases it to another large dairy farm. But we still call it the Moore Farm, because Albert Moore was such a character. He used to sell us calves, and we would raise them as heifers and sell them back to him. But when the other guys bought this, we had been leasing this field for 16 years, and then they said, "Well, you're going to have to move your compost because we sold the fields." And I said, "Oh, well, it looks like we're just going to be a garden center," which probably wouldn't have been a bad idea. Probably would have netted more. But I went up there with my daughter, and there was the father and the son who went to Cornell Ag. and they were in their office, and I would say I was talking about leasing it, and he was doing all these figures, and it was going to cost like a ton of money to lease because of all the yield they could get from it. And I said, well, if you decide to sell it, I'll give you X amount of money. And they both looked at me like, X amount? So I got home, and like an hour later they called me and said, and it was a crazy amount of money, but Flowers paid for it, so it didn't matter.
That's good.
Yeah, didn't pay for this with beet greens. But this is really good soil, as you can see. We usually, last year for some reason or other, we had crops growing so late, we did not get the cover crops on that we usually get on. I mean, this is usually all cover crops. Some of it has already been dissed in, but.
So this is a pretty good sized field.
Yeah, and there's 2 little fields across from it, and a total of about 16 acres. So this is some nice looking garlic. So, I wanted to actually go out and see if the carrots had germinated here yet. It's been so cool that we haven't had the peas are up, but the carrots aren't up yet. Oh yeah, just starting to come. I bet this heat. Now's the time. Actually, I should tell my son now we need to flame them.
Just as they're coming up.
Yeah, I think
Or just before.
We missed the boat on the beets. I don't know. That looks like it could still be flame. Oh no, this is too late. The gold beets. See these? They're just up a little bit.
Yeah.
But we can flame these carrots, and boy, that'll really save a lot of time. And the first planting of peas, I'm gonna text my son actually to tell him right now.
What's his role on the farm?
He's the heir apparent.
Yeah.
The prodigal son. Yeah, he manages pretty much most of the field crops and does a lot of the tractor work. So although I plant the peas, and look at this stand of peas, it's beautiful. And his job is to say, that's way too many peas.
Awfully thick, Dad.
But that's a lot. I mean, this is the first of 3 plantings, so we sell. But it's funny, gardeners, some of the customers are so ecstatic about fresh peas.
Yeah.
They go crazy for them. I remember years ago, it was a Friday evening, we were about to close the stand, and one of our customers who was from New York City, he was vice president of Mobil Oil, one of the vice presidents, and he came up and he said, fresh peas? And I said, gee, I'm really sorry, we sold out. We'll be picking more tomorrow. He goes, what? No, peas? And he started stamping his feet, and he was having a fit. It's a vice president of Mobil Oil.
Stamping his feet over
he was so crazy about fresh peas. And a lot of farms don't grow some of the things we grow, like peas and beans and labor-intensive stuff. But that is why people come to a farm stand, because they get that kind of, you can't buy fresh peas in a supermarket. What are they, a week old at least?
Yeah.
And green beans are machine harvested and they're half stems, so those are the things that really make a farm stand, I think, unique. So that's really cool. And that's, we're fortunate that so far we've been able to have the labor to get them picked. But it's not easy. It's not a high profit item, but like strawberries are labor intensive, but more of a higher profit.
Yeah.
This is a pretty high organic matter, and this is like 40 feet of topsoil here from the glaciers. So it's really nice. I had a well drilled a number of years ago there, so we can irrigate this whole field, get 60 gallons a minute. I mean, it's not pumping from the river, but we had a young woman that worked for us, and she eventually turned into a doctor of hydrogeology. And she told us, there's a river that runs alongside the river, because you think of it, the river is not in a cement funnel. It's saturated soils all along it, and so we tapped. It took me five drills because they kept hitting ledge, which is the driller said, it's pretty unusual to hit ledge down here by the river. I said, well, that's my luck. I said, let's try one more time up here, and they tried, and they got 60 gallons a minute. So we're able to, use sprinklers to germinate carrots and stuff, and but mostly we use drip. My black raspberries are dying out. I planted a new batch at the farm, but these black raspberries are a really profitable crop. that people are becoming more and more fond of. They're high antioxidant, but they used to be. We prune them pretty heavy, but to get bigger ones. But they used to be more prolific. See this like section here just sort of died out. I had some smaller ones planted there. I don't see them. Oh, they're still coming up. Yeah, they're still coming up a little bit. And this section, we used to store compost down here, so I'm really interested to see how this garlic will do. Just a little overflow garlic area, but we might use that section for seed garlic for next year.
How many years have you been farming now?
Well, we came up to live with my grandfather in '73. So, and we started off with I think the second year we were with him, we bought a 7x9 foot glass greenhouse from Agway.
And there it started.
It's been 50 years.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Don't tell anybody. Yeah, and so we started this. Also, would be our 50th wedding anniversary, because that's when we got married in '73. We weren't married; we were hippies, and we said, we don't need to get married. We don't need to get married. And our parents said, yeah, you need to get married. And we said, well, it doesn't make any difference to us. Why don't we get married? And then my grandfather will be happy, and all our parents will be happy.
Yeah.
And,
Congrats. That's an accomplishment, too.
Thank you. And we're a great team. My wife just is probably one of the most knowledgeable perennial tree and shrub people in the state, and she has amazing printing, which you wouldn't believe how important that is.
Like handwriting printing?
Yeah, for all our signage and stuff, That's just
one of those skills
I tell people I interviewed people for their printing before I got married. But no, she does a great job. And plus, she usually puts the brakes on some of my more extravagant ideas. But you want to you got time to take a quick ride up to the tree farm? Or not?
I got as much time as you're
okay,
willing to give.
We'll go visit the tree farm. Then we'll probably have to call it quits. But we're up at this tree farm. I think it's been 8 years, so 9 years, and we should be thinking about retiring, right?
Yeah.
And so, but we're not going to retire. My idea of retiring is when I lay down on the compost pile.
And then that's it, yeah.
But we were up there buying our Christmas tree, and I said, the Schmitz, the old folks that run it, they have it for sale through the land trust. And my wife says, we should buy it. And I'm going, what have you done with my wife? So it was more of a competitive process, but because we were established and close by and had the knowledge, we took it over and we converted it to an organic operation. Where we don't use weed killers or chemical sprays or chemical fertilizer, and somehow we make it work pretty well. But we've had a few different tree managers, but the one we have now is just unbelievable. It was enough. I was going to horticultural conventions and meetings and seminars and vegetable Vern stuff and Manchester, the fruit and vegetable growers, and now I go to a Christmas tree meeting. And the Christmas Tree Growers Association at first I thought they were a little to the right of Genghis Khan. I am political, but they're really nice guys, and everybody talks to you and helps. It's just like Vermont, how we network so well together.
Yeah.
You go down to Massachusetts, and they don't do that. It's very competitive. And I've had people come up from Massachusetts that work for us, and they go, I can't believe everybody's friendly up here. Because I always, and I think most growers feel that. You can give 10 different people a recipe for apple pie, and you come out with 10 different apple pies.
Yeah.
So this was, sort of handy. And it made it nice because we were able to employ a lot of our crew for another, solid month after Thanksgiving. It's a nice way to wind up the season. It's only about 5% of our gross, but everybody is happy. At Christmas time.
It's a fun time of year.
Yeah, it's just a fun time, and we buy wreaths from this great old tree grower, and decorate them, and we sell some. So we have like a little spot out back there that needs mowing real bad. You can see the trees up there. They're 4 or 5 years old. And then we just planted these a couple years ago, and then that section over there, we just keep planting. We have a bunch of different plots, and this is really busy actually during Christmas time. But this is Santa's workshop here. This is where we do the wreaths and stuff in there, and this is our little farm store. And we also sell greens and stuff we have a cooler in there, and some extra stuff, and some cheese and apple cider and stuff from local farmers and stuff. And this is the old folks' home, She passed away on her own terms a couple of years ago, and it was like early 90s. So someday we will have to manage that place too. And this is our retail lot. Where we'll set up the racks and the trees, for people that want to buy. But we also do cut your own. So is what probably 2/3 of our trees are cut your own. And then we don't have enough trees, so we buy in. I go up north to this old timer, and he's retiring, so we won't be able to get them forever. But he supplies those beautiful trees.
Yeah.
And this is a barn we turned into an event barn, so we have some marriages inside there and stuff. But
these black locust trees?
Yeah.
They are beautiful. Huge.
Yeah, huge. Let's hope they don't fall over.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of wildlife up here too. It's so different from our farm being directly on Route 5. We won't go too far up in there, but those are the stone trees.
That's cool.
Aren't they pretty cool? Yeah. Yeah.
So who built those?
I'm not going to go up here actually. It's still a little wet. So Jared Flynn, who was sort of a protege of Dan Snow, who's sort of like nationally known stonework guy. There were two of them up here that previous owners had, and so we commissioned him to do the third one beyond that, the third one up there. So yeah, they're kind of cool people like that.
It's super cool.
The third one is nice. They never did cut your own, because they were worried about liability and stuff, but we opened up the farm more, and that's why I like the third one, because it's more open, and it's designed so that kids can crawl on it and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And get up on there. It's pretty sturdy, where the other ones you don't want to have kids on, because it's so meticulous work. And then you can see that next year's trees and a couple of years after that are beyond that towards the woods. We buy the trees in, they're about 4 years old when we get the seedlings, and then we grow them for 7-8 years.
Yeah.
So it takes a while.
Yeah. It's not a quick.
It's really like a slow crop of broccoli. And what's nice is, people say, you're cutting down trees, As soon as you cut down trees, you're planting them.
Yeah.
So you're getting the same.
Something's always growing.
Yeah, and you're getting the same, air purifying effect, because you constantly have this in trees. And it's much better than putting a plastic tree from China in your house.
Yeah.
Still a lot of water coming out of these springs and snow. I have a bunch of sugar maples here. I lease to a sugar maker. We used to do sugar but the greenhouses got too intense, so it's just too hard to do the cleanup and keep track of all the sugar.
Well, and there's a lot of overlap.
Yeah,
it's
you're
too much, too busy in that time of year.
Right, and the weather is so unpredictable. Of course, we didn't use reverse osmosis and the pumps and things that they use now, so it was more susceptible to the extremes. Well, last year we plant like 1,500 trees a year, but last year we lost probably 300 to 400 because of the drought.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we just weren't able, just didn't have the time. We should have come up and with a transplanter barrel, and watered them in, but it was just not enough help and not enough time. So we had to buy some extra trees to fill in the holes this year.
So you've been farming for 50 years and the business is healthy and going to continue on. What do you think has been one of the big things that led to its success?
Well, I think, the good farmers I know, and there's a lot of good ones in Vermont, they just sort of live for farming, It's 24/7.
Yeah.
And you go on a vacation for a week and you want to get home to the farm. So it's a lot of that. Also, I think adjusting to the markets. When we first started, we used to sell 50-pound bags of potatoes and a lot of cabbages. And now, we sell a lot of cherry tomatoes, cut salad mix, Brussels sprouts instead of cabbages, and you're adjusting to, what people want. And also, I think, we visited other garden centers and farm stands, and a lot of people don't put the money back into their operation. You've got to keep it looking fresh. People want to think that you're doing well, and that they want to be associated with a place that's doing well, and not a place that's going out of business in a couple of years or something. It's and adjusting to listening to the customers and adjusting to what their needs are. I mean, it was kind of crucial. We've been able to develop a rapport with our clientele, so we sort of we take care of our fields and we cultivate our clientele. But I think another thing that farmers have that's their greatest marketing is their family. People come and they saw our kids, growing up. We were struggling, at our little farm stand and selling lettuce for 35 cents a head, and, and so they grow up with you, and that they like to see that. And they also, we're fortunate, we have great people working there. Some of them have been working there for 25 plus years, so they like that continuity, I think. Of knowing who's here and that it's familiar. But changing up displays and introducing new products and changing with the times.
What advice would you give to a young farmer?
Well, what I'd give to a lot of vegetable farmers is to get into plant sales. You're an expert at growing plants. You're going to farmers markets with lettuce and chard and stuff. Well, maybe you specialize in like hot peppers. There's a much higher profitability in plants than there is in vegetables.
Right.
And, you've got the people coming to you, so give them what they want. Maybe you don't want to compete with the flower growers in the nurseries in the area, but you're an expert at growing vegetables. So, specialize in heirloom tomatoes or, purple cauliflower plants or something. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity. There's a million ways to make income in this business, and you just have to figure out, what they want.
Yeah.
And give it to them.
That's sound business advice.
Our business philosophy too is, it's from a movie. I wish I could remember the name of it, but it's a story about this tourist. He's traveling in Arizona, and he's driving down one of the state highways, and he sees this Native American selling pottery by the side of the road. And so he stops, and he's looking around. It's really nice pottery. And he says, I got a question for you. We've got a pot here for $20. It looks like the exact same pot here for $10. And what's the difference? And he says, and the old timer says, well, some people like to pay $10, some people like to pay $20. So we try to go for the people that like to pay $20.
Yeah.
Jack and Karen Manix at Walker Farm in downtown East Dummerston, Vermont. And we have about 35 acres of organic produce, 25 acres of organic Christmas trees, 25 varying kinds of greenhouse structures. We try to do a diverse line of products. We have everything from artichokes to zucchini with ginger and turmeric, and a lot of heirloom tomatoes thrown in, 25 acres of organic Christmas trees, and an amazing group of employees that somehow keep it all going and keep us interested in continuing. It's like a scene from Breaking Away, this bicycle racing movie where the townies are on a hill overlooking the college, and they see all these young people down at the college, and they say to, and one of the guys says, and this is our story too, is that, we just keep getting older and they stay the same. So we get all these young people with energy, and it keeps us going. And that's what's been, I think, the success of our farm, is that we're able to attract amazing employees, and that's, otherwise we wouldn't be able to do it. So.
I'm Andy Chamberlain, and that was The Farmer's Share. I hope you enjoyed this episode learning from Jack and getting a virtual tour of their operation. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel to see any relevant footage from these farm visits. The Farmer's Share is on Instagram, so please give that page a follow over there. You can visit thefarmershare.com to check out more episodes and interviews. If you enter your email on our website, you'll receive these photos and links right into your inbox when the next episode comes out. If you're loving the show, I would love it if you could leave me a review. In Apple Podcasts, just click on the show, scroll down to the bottom, and there you can leave 5 stars and a comment to help encourage new listeners to tune in. Harry Bardwell is both a fan and a guest of the show. He left us a review which says, "Great listen. Lots of helpful topics and deep dives into different farming operations of all sizes. Love hearing other farmers' stories and their techniques. Looking forward to more." Thanks, Harrison, for leaving that 5-star review. The Farmer's Share is supported by the Vermont Vegetable and Berry Growers Association and the Ag Engineering Program of the University of Vermont Extension. Thanks for listening.